Okay. Merhaba. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this talk. I'm going to give a practical intro into Laravel. I'm going to explain what the ecosystem contains, and we're going to build a small demo application together. I'm Freek van der Herten. I'm a partner and a developer at a company called Spatie. We're based in Belgium. My handle on Twitter is Freek Meurze, and I've got my blog meurze.be where I talk about modern PHP and Laravel development. Now, together with these two awesome guys, I organize the PHP Antwerp local meetup group. If you're ever in the vicinity of Antwerp, feel free to come give a talk at our user group. We welcome everybody. The length of the talk or the level of the talk really doesn't matter. Now, my company, Spatie, has been around since 2003. We create websites, applications, and web shops. Our team is quite small. We only consist of 3 developers and 1 manager. And we specialize in Laravel development. Now, before diving into the Laravel intro itself, I want to say a few words about open source software. At my company, we use a lot of open source software. We use Nginx, Laravel, Ubuntu, PHP, of course, and everything listed on this slide. And our company couldn't really exist without open source software, and I bet that many of you thank your jobs due to the fact that open source software exists. Now, because we are so grateful for open source software, we also want to give back, so we create a lot of stuff. We now have about 100 packages registered on Packagist. Most of them are Laravel specific, but we do have some nice framework-agnostic PHP and JavaScript packages as well. And they've been downloaded now for over 3 million times, and that download count is now growing at 100,000 packages in a week. A little humble brag here. So we're a company of four people. And if you look at the GitHub Awards, which is a site that just sums up all the stars that the repos of a GitHub organization have, then you see our little company at number 4 worldwide, right underneath the PHP League, Symfony, and Laravel itself. You'll find a big list of all the stuff we open sourced on our site. We have a page for the Laravel specific things. We have a page for the PHP things. But I should also mention that they are not entirely free. There's a license on it called Postcardware, because we like postcards. And if you use any of our stuff, we would like you to send us a postcard. Now, we publish all the postcards on our site. And if you want to send us one, this is our address. Okay, let's talk a bit about Laravel. Who here already uses Laravel? Okay, so a few people. So this will be a basic intro, so you will hear a lot of familiar things. For those who don't use Laravel yet, we're just going to make a simple demo application. We're not going to demonstrate all that Laravel can do because we just don't have the time of it, but I hope you will get a small taste of what's the philosophy behind it. First, the general things. What is Laravel? Everybody probably knows it's a PHP framework. It's created by a guy, Taylor Otwell, who maintains it together with an employee and lots of people contributing to the framework. Laravel can be used to create projects of all sizes, so small, medium, large ones. They're all supported. The current version now is Laravel 5.4, and there's a bi-yearly release cycle. So there's a release in the summer, and there's a release into winter. So in a few months, we'll probably get to to Laravel 5.5, and in December or January of next year, we'll get Laravel 5.6. And those releases are always feature releases, so there are new features in them. What makes Laravel special in my mind? First and foremost, an amazing community. I find that being in the Laravel community, that I get to interact with a lot of friendly other developers. There are a lot of packages around, there are a lot of blogs around, so there's a lot of information you can get about using the framework. Another thing what makes Laravel special, and I think it's a big one, is that Laravel puts a very big emphasis on developer happiness. Laravel goes out of its way to provide you with a nice, clean API to work with. And there are probably, for the most problems, there are multiple solutions, so you can pick which solution you like best. Laravel comes with batteries included. It's just feature-packed, and we are going to run over those features in a second. Another big thing, I think, is that Laravel has excellent documentation. It's human readable. You could literally read it from start to finish. That documentation is always being worked on. Whenever there's a new release, Taylor goes through it all and rewrites some part of it, and you can it really shows that it's friendly to newcomers. And in the Laravel ecosystem, there are also excellent learning resources. The most well-known and popular one is probably Laracasts, where a guy named Jeffrey Way creates almost daily videos on how to use the framework or related technology. Now, I've said that Laravel comes with batteries included. Just let's go over what Laravel provides. There's an elegant routing system, so it's very easy to create routes in your applications. We have the eloquent ORM. Laravel has its own view system called Blade, which makes it easy to organize your views and to create templates. There is also a command line runner, which is dubbed Artisan, and it's really easy to create your own commands. Also built in and related to Artisan is a scheduler. So we have a scheduler built in. So if you want to schedule jobs in Laravel, there is basically one big command you have to put in your cron job. I think it's schedule work. And that command will call all other commands that you need to schedule. We'll see an example of that in a bit. There's also an asset pipeline built in called Laravel Mix, which can handle your JavaScript and your CSS files. It can bundle them, it can minify them, and whatnot. There's also features for authorization and authentication built in. There's support for queues, so you can do stuff in the background. There's also event broadcasting built in, so you can easily notify services and use webhooks. There's also facilities for sending notifications to things like Slack or Telegram. And those three previous things I touched, the queues, event broadcasting, and sending notifications, they are all driver-based. So if you have another provider in which you want to send, for example, notifications, you can just put in a driver and you can send notifications via your favorite notification provider. And also an important one, there are testing facilities built into Laravel, so you can test your application code in an easy way. There are also things in the Laravel ecosystem that are not included in the framework itself, but are provided as optional packages. And these ones are the big ones. The first one is Socialite, which is a package that makes it easy for you to add a social login to your application. So you can log in with a Facebook account or a Twitter account or a Google account. The second one is Passport, which is the reverse. It's an OAuth server, so other people can log into your application. And Passport is built on the OAuth server package by the League of Packages, if you know that. The third one is Scout, which provides full text search to your application. Behind the scenes, it integrates with a service called Algolia, and it will create an index at Algolia for you, where you can search on. Why not do a full text search in the database itself? Because if you try to build this, then you know it's really hard to get results sorted on relevancy, results that take in typos in the query into account, and Algolia does all of that. And so you can easily integrate Algolia into your Laravel application using Scout. And the last one is Laravel Echo, and that is a library that can handle real-time events on the client side, so you can consume WebSockets really easily. It's also not only about code. In the ecosystem, there are ways to and tools to run your code, and you have two pre-configured options. The first one is Homestead, which is a virtual box image. It contains a modern version of PHP, but also MySQL, Redis, Memcached. It's all built into that image. And the second one is Valet, which I'm going to demo in a bit, which is just a thin layer on your local computer. There are also services to make your code run in production. We have Envoy, which is a tool to deploy your application, and we have Forge, which is a tool to provision a server. Now, those two options, Envoy and Forge, they are both paid SaaS, so they are paid products. And Envoy itself, that's the local version of it, which is free. Okay, so I can talk a lot about what's in the ecosystem, but I think it's better to give a demo to give you a feel of how it's like working with Laravel. And we're just going to create a small basic application together. So, because there is a little bit of coding, I'm going to sit. And we'll just start with nothing. So here I am in a directory on my machine, and I have literally nothing in that directory. Now, the easiest way to start the Laravel application is to use the Laravel helper here. And that Laravel helper thingy, that can be installed via Composer. That's just a Composer global install, and then you have that Laravel command. So you can make a new application here, Laravel new PHPKonf, and then it will just create an application for you. So it's being built, and now I have a PHPKonf directory, and if I go in here, I have the application. Okay, let's open it up in PHP Storm. And here we go. And let me make that a little bit bigger for everybody. So, and this is the application that was created for us. Let's go over the default directory structure of a Laravel application. We have an app directory where most of the things of your application live in. Inside that app directory is a console directory where everything related to Artisan, the command runner, will live. We have an HTTP folder here where all the controllers will live. We have some middleware here. In the Bootstrap directory, you probably don't want to be. That's the startup procedure of Laravel. We have a configuration directory, and configuration in Laravel, that's just PHP files, simple PHP files with lots of comment to know what's going on. Here you can also see that the database configuration is also driver-based. You have a default configuration that is by default MySQL, but you can have multiple databases. What do we have next? We have a database folder here, which contains migrations, so migrations come built in as well. We have a seeds directory to create dummy data. The public directory, that's an easy one. That's the one that gets served up publicly, and in the index.php, that's where all the requests go through. We have a resources folder where the assets live. So we have the JavaScript and the Sass here. We also have lang files, so there's also features to make a multilingual application, and the view layer lives here. So here you can see some HTML. An important other folder is also the roots folder. Here you can see the roots that the application have, and we have some separate roots. We have our API roots, our channels roots, which are used for the WebSockets, console roots for the console commands, but the most important one is that web thing here that just say if you serve to the slash here, you get a few welcome. Let's move on a little bit. We have storage here, so anything you need to storage can be stored here. The framework has its own directory where it will store all cache things, all the session things if you use file-based sessions, and the cached views, because the views, they are compiled down to regular PHP. And we have a folder where all the tests live. Okay. Now, how can we view this application itself? How can we run it locally? I have mentioned Valet already. And Valet is just a command that configures Nginx, PHP, and some other services locally on your computer. And in my case, if I want to serve up a directory, I can just say Valet link here. And now I should be able to serve to that page, phpkonf.dev, and here we see our Laravel application. Okay, let's do something. Let's create another route. It's very simple. So you can just say in the first parameter which the URL should be, and you can give it a closure and just return a string, hello. If I go back here, if I now go to hello, and not found, test, sorry, and I should see hello, and we see hello. See, so you can return strings. If you return an array of stuff, then you will get it as JSON back. So here's a little bit of JSON. If you need to have a post request or delete or patch, then it's just writing a post here. Or delete or patch, whatever you want. There's also things that can group your routes together. So if you want to prefix all your routes, you can add a little prefix here. So prefix, and then I'm going to give it a group. And then these guys go in there. And then these guys, I'm going to create a new one here. So get test2. Here's the test2. So I have now prefix test2, prefix test2, and sure, we get there. Now, there's also a command to view. Wait, I'm going to do this maybe here. Okay, so this is the terminal. And let's take a look at what Artisan can do. So I've said that Laravel has a task runner, PHP Artisan. If I type that, then I can see all the commands that Artisan provides for me. And one of those commands is a route list command, which lists all the routes. So if I do Artisan route list, you can see that we have prefixed all the routes here. So that's how that works. Okay. Let's do something a little bit more advanced. If I go back to PHP Artisan here, then you can see that we also have make commands here to make specific stuff. So let's create a controller, because you're probably not going to build a site with every response here in enclosures. So let's make a controller. I'm going to make controller test controller. Controller created successfully. And if I scroll a little bit up here and go into the controllers, sure enough, there's a test controller here. If I want to make a method here, public function index return hello from controller. And if I go back to my web routes here, and I change this function here, so we're not going to use a closure anymore, but we're going to use a controller, then it's just test controller at index. That's how easy it is to switch over to the controllers. Cool. Okay. Let's take a look at those make commands again. PHP Artisan make and make, and we have a very powerful one in the beginning, make authentication, which will scaffold out login functionality and registration functionality. Okay. I'm going to do a little trick here to see what Laravel is actually doing with my code. So I'm going to init a repository. I'm going to commit everything. And if I now PHP Artisan make auth, scaffolding created successfully, then I can just use git status to see what Laravel has done. We have a new home controller here. We have some new views in the auth, and we have some new views in the layout. Okay, let's check it out first in the browser, what has happened. And view source, I don't need that. And here in the top, you can see that we have a login and register stuff. Okay, let's try to register ourselves with the application. So I'm just going to fill in my name, my email address, and a dummy password. See that I type it right. And it blows up in our face. Why does it blow up in our face? Because we don't have a database yet. So he's going to try to create a user, but there literally is no database. Okay, so let's create a new database for this. And first, take a look at what name the database should have. So the sensitive information of a Laravel application lives in an environment file. And we have here the DB database, which is the name of the database. I'm just going to use PHPKonf here. And for Valet, I know that the username should be root and that the password should be empty for local. if I create MySQL admin, create database PHPKonf, so I have a database. And now, if everything is good, I can migrate the database. So now I have actual user tables in my database. So I've used those migrations. And if I were to fill up my info here again, then with any luck, it will succeed. And I'm logged into the application. So Laravel scaffold this page as well. So it's the home route, which is protected. And I get a little menu here. So if I log out again and try to go to home, I won't see the page, but I'll come at a login page. So if I log in here again, test, then you see that we are logged in. Okay, let's take a look at our routes files to see what Laravel has done here. Well, Laravel has put here auth routes, which is a macro, and behind the scenes, this will register routes just like these ones. If I run PHP artisan route list again, then you can see it's a little bit messed up, but with a little bit of effort, you can see that we have login routes, logout routes, we have things to reset passwords, which are all provided by these auth routes. So that's how that works. Let's take a look at that home controller that Laravel made. So Laravel scaffolded this one as well. This is that home page you saw when I logged in. And you can see here that Laravel has scaffolded a constructor with a middleware auth here. And that middleware auth that's built into the Laravel, that's what does do the checking if I have an authenticated user. Now, there are multiple ways of going about adding this middleware. Some people like to have it in controllers, but I myself, that's a personal preference, like to keep this in the routes. So I'm just going to remove it here, and I'm going to the web again. And I can protect this now by routes, middleware, auth, and just, oh no, wait, that's wrong. I should group it, group, function, and just put it in there. And that route is protected. Now, if I want to have another route which is protected, then I can do get route secret, and I'm going to return all my secrets here. And if I go to secrets here, then you can have all my secrets. If I log out here and try to go to secret again, then it doesn't work. So that's how that middleware thingy works. Okay. I wish I could build up a lot more during this session, but I've built up another application where more interesting stuff is happening, because I just don't have the time to code everything I wanted up during 40 minutes. So one of my hobbies is actually playing music at a local radio station, and I've created a little demo application where I publish all my playlists. So this application has a list view with all the playlists. We have a detail view. It's all really simple. We have an about page. And yeah, I'm really happy when I'm on the radio. We have here a search facility where that Laravel Scout thing is being used that I mentioned. So it has full text search, but it also can handle typos. So if I search for Beatles here, I should get, I played a few years ago a track by the Beatles, an excellent track by the Beatles on the radio show. And you can see here No, I'm going to demo that later. Okay, so that's a very simple website. I've got a development version running locally on my computer. So you can see here that it's all Latin. That's been generated by the seeding facilities of Laravel. So I have dummy data to work with. And you can see that if I browse to log in here, that I just use the scaffolding we just saw. Here my password is, I think, this. Yeah, and you can see here it's very simple. It's just a CRUD style thing going on. Now this site, this repo, radiorarefish.be, is completely open sourced. I'll give the link to the GitHub repo so you can browse it in your own time. But let's take a quick look ourselves. So if I go to my radiorarefish site, dev sites, radiorarefish.be, PHP storm. Where is it? Here it is. So this is the actual source code of that site. So if I go to the routes here and just clean that a little bit up, then you can see that we use some of the feature I demonstrated. So we have that middleware auth here. We have that prefixing here, so that the admin section, all the pages there have an admin prefix. One thing that I didn't show it live is that you can also namespace certain stuff here. So I got a front section and I got a back section. And if I go to the HTTP folder here, the controllers, then you can see that I have all my back controllers in a directory and all my front controllers in a directory. So you can structure the controllers however that you want. Maybe let's take a look at that playlist controller. It's very easy. So we have an index method that shows all the playlists. We have a detail action that shows only one playlist. And here you can see how we can read variables from the URL. So we have a slug here, and that slug can be passed here, and we can get the right playlist for that slug. And here we use a view to display that, and we just give it the playlist that we just gave it. But I suggest that you take a look at this repo in your own time. It's a very simple thing. I think it's an excellent starting point if you want to see some basic Laravel. Let's maybe do one more thing in the demo, and that's how. I want to show how easy it is to install a package into Laravel, because most of the time, if you want to have some basic stuff done, somebody might have already written a package for that. Okay, one package that I'm going to pull in now is the debug bar, which shows debug information in the browser, which can be used to debug your application. And how you pull in a package is very easy. You just use Composer for that. Laravel, the vendor first, Barry van den Heuvel, Laravel debug bar. And if the internet gods are willing, this will now start to download. And if it's not, then no problem, because I have installed it in the radiorarefish site already. I'm just going to skip that a little bit, and we're going to go over to the radiorarefish site where it's already installed. And you can see this little icon here. That's from the debug bar. And here you can see which queries were executed to render this page, which route was picked, which views were used. So, and also a little bit of a timeline. So this package makes it really easy to get good debug data. I use this package the whole time when developing a site to see if there are not too many queries. If there is an n+1 problem and you solve it, you can really easily see it here. Okay. Our time is almost over, so I'm sorry that I can't demonstrate more, because there's a lot more to be shown, really. I'm just going to leave you with a few resources that you can check out on your own. Of course, I've mentioned there's excellent documentation. The documentation lives at laravel.com/docs, so take a look there. The source code of Laravel is on GitHub. Just go to /Laravel to go to the Laravel organization. There's an excellent video course that contains all I've said and a whole lot more at laravelfromscratch.com, which is basically a link to a course at the next link, larcast.com, which is, I think, the best way to learn Laravel, certainly if you're a visual learner. So that's a site where Jeffrey Ray almost daily submits new videos of the framework. And if you want to know what's current in Laravel, head over to laravelnews.com, where there's news about new packages and interviews with people in the ecosystem. There are a lot of resources provided by the community as well. We have larchat.co, and if you go to that site, you can get an invitation link to the Slack channel, where a lot of people using Laravel help each other. There's also an excellent blog by Matt Stauffer, which goes over the new features in every Laravel release. There's also a list maintained by Jeffrey Way of Laracast that lists all the nice people working with Laravel on Twitter. There's also an awesome Laravel GitHub repository. And of course, take a look at the stuff that we've made. So that's the last link, spatie.be, for our Laravel packages. There are also a few dedicated conferences for Laravel. There's one in the US, there's one in the EU. The US is, I think, in the summer. It's sold out, and Larcon EU is in August in Amsterdam. If you want to take a look at the source code of Radio Rarefish, this is the repository for that. And with that, I've said everything I want to say. Teşekkür ederim.